funny. Today, I'm sorry if the video is not like extremely super funny, but sometimes I think it's important to really communicate with you guys and talk to you about some stuff that I know I deal with and a lot of you guys deal with, so I apologize for the lack of funniness, but I've really been wanting to remake this video or do an updated version of this video for a long time now. So today is going to be an updated video of me talking about my anxiety, my depression, how things have been going, how I deal with it, just kind of tell you guys a little bit about that. I did another vlog about this a long time ago, sometime last year, I believe. So if there's any kind of details that I leave out in this one, or, you know, some different things that I'm gonna say, obviously I'm not just gonna like repeat the same thing twice. So if you're interested in hearing more about this, I will be sure and link you to the previous one I did last year at the end of this video. That was so long-winded. I'm having a really difficult time keeping things concise lately. So I guess I just want to give you guys some like overreaching facts about my anxiety and my depression and stuff like that. And I just want to put it out here. Maybe I said this in the last one about this. I'm not putting this out here because I'm looking for sympathy or pity. I don't need anyone's sympathy or pity. I am a firm believer in getting oneself out of one's own predicaments. So that's not what this is about at all. This is simply about trying to identify with other people who are in a similar situation as mine, and obviously, I'm not a doctor. Results may vary. A lot of the stuff that I do, I deal with by myself. I do not go see a psychiatrist, yada, yada, yada. That's just me. It's not saying that like seeing a psychiatrist is wrong. Once again, I don't want anybody to like misconstrue anything that I'm saying. I just want to say, have I already made an overreaching statement? Another overreaching statement I want to say is, don't let anybody make you feel bad about having anxiety or depression. Don't let anybody question whether your anxiety manifestations are real or not. You can honestly tell anyone who ever behaves that way towards you to stick it where the sun doesn't shine. I know how it is being around people who don't understand what it feels like to have a panic attack or have anxiety, and sometimes the fears, and I'll say manifestations again, I think that that's the most appropriate word. A lot of people don't really understand. It just looks like you're freaking out, or maybe that you're immature, or that you're, you know, goofy or silly or whatever adjective you'd like to plug in there. You know, I think that a lot of people with anxiety who are around people who don't have any anxiety or who don't struggle with that, you know, it seems like really weird. So just don't ever let anybody belittle your feelings about it. It is a constant struggle that comes and goes, at least in my life. It doesn't matter if people understand what you're going through. What you're going through is very, very real, and nobody should have the right to criticize you on that or say that your fears are unfounded. You know, it's not your fault that you have these feelings that you do. Keep that in mind. There are a lot of people going through anxiety and depression, and like I always say, I am thoroughly grateful for all of your letters. Some of you telling me that you're going through the same kind of stuff that I'm going through or that I've been through, and it really means a lot. And I always say this, it's not that I'm like, oh great, you know, thousands of people have depression, but I think that it's, you know, good that people are starting to be a little bit more open about it. It's definitely nothing to be ashamed over. So it's a good feeling to know that you're not alone in the problems that you suffer. I feel kind of like jittery when talking about this. Sometimes it's difficult for me to express and to talk about what I'm feeling. So sorry if I seem kind of like muddied, but I'm doing the best that I can. I actually was requested the other day to do a, you know, my YouTube story. So I guess there's gonna be so many things commingled in this video. So I guess I will just tell you guys a little bit about that because it has a lot to do with my anxiety and my depression and stuff like that. 2010 was the worst year by far of my life. I was in a horrible accident. I could vlog about that if anybody wants to know. But I was in a major car accident. My right hand is broken. I mean, it's healed now, but I still have a lot of problems with it. That's why if you ever get a letter from me in return in the mail, I think my handwriting is atrocious now. It's because my hand like cramps up because it's just like never gonna be the same. That's what my doctor told me. I forget what a bone doctor is called, but that's what he told me, is that basically like once a bone has been compromised, it never like 100% glues itself back the same. You know, you're always kind of gonna have like soreness, problems, tension with it. Besides the point. So I was in a really, really horrible car accident, and then a couple months after I just basically started recovering from that, and let me tell you, there's nothing more humbling than being in and out of an emergency room in a hospital for 4 to 5 months straight. And then right after I was kind of getting a little bit back on my feet, my grandpa died, and we were extremely close, and I'll just say that that's still where a lot of my depression comes from. So that was where a lot of the depression and anxiety was really kind of like taking over. I kind of feel like I'm being a little bit repetitious at this point with this whole story, which is never really fun to try and like plow through again. But basically that's why I started this channel, because I used to just literally get in my car and drive around randomly all night long, every single night. It was totally stupid, totally not safe, but I didn't know what else to do with myself. I was constantly freaking out about having to go to the hospital, and it was like I was driving myself to the hospital with such horrible panic attacks. It was this entirely cyclical thing. And so that is why I started this channel, was so at night I could just, you know, make a vlog and talk to the camera and then take the time that it takes to edit it. You know, it's a pretty time consuming process, especially when I first started out, because I didn't even know how to work iMovie or anything. And so it was just like hours it would take me to edit like one 10-minute long video. And so it was just kind of something I could throw myself into. That's why I always say I'm utterly shocked that anybody chose to be a part of this. I'm so thankful that you guys did, but that was kind of my reasoning to do it, was to kind of do something to get my mind off of it. You know, and I said this in my last video, you start to feel so alone and isolated, and it's almost like a double-edged sword. It's like you kind of push people away because you start to isolate yourself because of the anxiety and depression, and it also kind of, I think, sometimes pushes people off. And I don't think that they behave that way to be jerks, you know, but I just think like, are you gonna go, you know, it's like a sad way of life. I guess it's almost like, you know, the Lion King or something, where they just leave the weak ones out to die and then go off and run with like the happy zebras. Okay, happy zebras. That made no sense. I guess in the process, I was kind of hoping to pick up, you know, maybe 1 or 2 people. I don't think that there's anything wrong with being like, I have internet friends. I think it's a great thing. You know, the world has completely changed, and we are moving more and more to like dating on the internet and having friends on the internet, and everything is done on the www these days. So I was kind of hoping to maybe create like a safe haven, or, you know, make a new group of friends and I could just talk about common interests. So I never started this with the idea of like, oh, I'm gonna be famous, or like, I'm the authority on makeup. Like, that's probably why I suck so bad. You know, I just do things because I like to do them, and because it's an activity to keep me busy and to keep me from having a freak out, which is what I call my little panic attacks. That was 100% the complete and total driving force of starting this channel. And I'm really, really thankful that I feel like it has become such a safe haven. I'm totally not joking when I say, you know, we're a swamp family, and that's really what the swamp family is about. This is a safe haven of acceptance where anyone of any race, creed, color, background, you know, rich, poor, alike, it doesn't matter who the hell you are. I want this to be a safe haven where people can come and, you know, leave a comment or talk about something or leave a video response, or, you know, just somehow interact, and we can all help each other and all understand that we all have issues and problems, and it may not even be anxiety and depression. That may not be your thing, but you may be having some other issue. So that's why I absolutely am impressed, and I cannot thank you guys enough for the camaraderie that you show to each other here, and, you know, through the comments, wishing each other a happy birthday, or I hope your day gets better, or anything. I mean, that is utterly beyond what I ever could have imagined or hoped for, and I'm so thankful for that because that's really what it's all about. So now I'll get more into like discussing my anxiety and my type of anxiety, and I guess a couple things that I do to deal with it. I have gotten a couple like really blatantly rude comments in the past, and it's like, oh, tell me where somebody with anxiety would go out and film in public, and da 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 da. I just want to say, once again, before anybody insults anybody else's symptoms, manifestations of anxiety, please understand that there are different varieties of anxiety, and I don't really think that I'm so much on the social anxiety bit. I don't know, I'm kind of weird. Like, I'll go up to somebody and talk to somebody, you know, like at a concert or something, whether I know them or not. I'm not really that shy like that. So I manifest it in kind of, and I'm really like a hypochondriac as well. I kind of have touches of like everything. Like I think I have like touches of agoraphobia. I know I'm a big time hypochondriac, so it kind of all like weaves in and makes a magical net of crap for me to deal with. My anxiety strongly manifests, especially since 2010 and I was in the hospital a lot and whatever. My anxiety manifests a lot in being afraid of being sick, being afraid of being ill, being afraid of throwing up. I can never remember the technical name of what that is, but a lot of you guys were kind enough to share with me that you go through the same thing. I get very, very much afraid of like being required to be somewhere. It doesn't even matter if it's something good either. It's not like just like, oh, you know, jury duty or something like that, but that freaks me out beyond belief. Like jury duty where I can be punished by law if I don't show up and stay somewhere. Because sometimes, and I think it's not even always like a conscious thing, but sometimes I will just start to feel sick at a drop of a hat. And it's not even like I'm consciously like freaking out about like one isolated thought. It's just like all of a sudden, like I can be at the mall or something and I'll start like just feeling horribly nauseous. Like I'm going to throw up and totally freaking out. And then I freak out more. And it's just like, I have to go back home and like retreat to my cave. That's like when I went to the spa last week, I literally started having a minor panic attack during the middle of my massage because I get afraid that I'm going to start feeling bad when I'm required to be somewhere, or that it's going to be really embarrassing if I have to get up and leave. And it's just stuff like that kind of sends me on a spiral sometimes. So I really try and never have anything scheduled ever because I just can't handle it. So the other big thing is I'm constantly freaked out about medical things. I'm freaked out horribly about traveling. So I'm sorry to any of you guys who thought I was going to be at VidCon this year. I'm not going to be able to make it because I just get completely crazy. Really, the only two places that I can comfortably, honestly travel is Disney World and Savannah, Georgia, and that's because I've been there 800 times, so I feel like I could competently get to an emergency facility or a hospital if I had to. I'm really crazy about that. Sometimes, and there's another like double-edged sword with my experiences, right? It's like, I feel like before I travel anywhere, I'd have to have the name of a reputable doctor and to know where the hospital is before I could comfortably go there. But at the same time, it freaks me out to look stuff up like that. It freaks me out to research like where a hospital may be. And so it just becomes like too much for me to deal with, and I just don't do it. So that really sucks. That's why I hardly go anywhere anymore. The other night when I was driving to go get sushi, you can ask my friends, I had 2 friends in the car with me, and I absolutely started like, I was shaking. I had to drive like 30 miles to get to the sushi restaurant where we were all meeting up, and literally my hand was like trembling by the time I got to the sushi place, because it's just like I start thinking I'm gonna be in a bad wreck again, and it just freaks me out. So that's why I was doing a lot of my driving at night, because, you know, 2 and 3 in the morning, there's not that many people on the road. I am comforted by driving in a car and listening to the radio and like having the windows down and stuff like that. That's definitely one of my strongest like go-to things that I do when I'm having a panic attack. So it's kind of weird, you know. It's like I'm afraid of the same thing that comforts me. On another hand, it's really kind of out there. I'm horribly freaked out by anything medical or doctor related. That's why you've never seen really a drugstore haul on my channel. So that's why usually I try and get like my drugstore type makeup from Ulta or from Walmart, because literally pharmacies freak me out because it starts to make me think like, oh, remember that time I was sick, and then I spiral down this horrible path thinking that I'm magically going to be sick and that I'm going to have to go to the hospital, and it's terrible. But at the same time, I feel like it's important for people with anxiety and depression to not stop challenging themselves, because I've kind of been challenging myself a little bit to try and get over some of these problems at least. I'm just a firm believer that with concentrated thought and effort, there's not one thing that anyone on earth is incapable of doing. So don't ever let anybody tell you. That was the other thing that just enraged me about, like, oh, what kind of anxiety do you have? You know, you're filming outside. That's just stupid. It doesn't even matter if I did have, like, you know, horrible anxiety on the social side of it. It doesn't mean that I'm incapable of doing something. So don't ever let anybody tell you any kind of line of crap like that. Just because you have anxiety doesn't mean that you can't, you know, one day feel better and branch out and try something new, or try and conquer your fears, or try and feel better about things. You know, this is a process and it's a struggle just like any other, you know, mental or physical disability or problem that somebody may have. It's important to not give up on yourself and to just keep staying strong, not giving up, persevering, and challenging yourself. So I actually did go into Walgreens a couple weeks ago. That's when I did my Impress Nails review, and it's something like so stupid to feel victorious about. Like, I went to Walgreens, and everyone else is just like, oh, great, you know, I do that every day. It's very important to stop and celebrate your tiny victories. I did have to go with my mom though, but I went in there and I just stayed in the beauty section and I got the nails, and I was in there for like 10 minutes, but I didn't like go home and have a horrible panic attack after it. So it was kind of like a small little victory for me, you know. And I'm trying to kind of travel a little bit more and stay overnight, you know, in like Austin or something like that. I mean, I've even been to Austin 800 times, but when I went to South by Southwest, I literally just like almost freaked out, threw in the towel, and then like drove back home on night one. And I was like, no, you have to find a way to get through this. Luckily, I had a really good friend on the phone and he talked me through it. And so I ended up kind of like concentrating on something else. I'm a firm believer in concentrating on something else. When things feel like they are at their worst and you just feel like you want to give up and throw in the towel and run away, just stay strong and hold your ground and don't do it, and find something that you love or that takes your mind off of it, and just do whatever that is that helps you kind of like get out of the freak out, or, you know, just feeling really all like cerebral and bad about things. So for me, and I know a lot of you guys, thanks to your letters, y'all kind of like revert to crafts or something like that. Sometimes I do that. Sometimes, like the other night, I was having a really bad panic attack, and that's why I got all those magazines and I was just like clipping paper. It's finding something to get you out of that place. I also suggest to people, my two major like lines of defense would be to take a drive, but I understand not everybody has a car and not everybody lives in a place where cars are so common. Most people in Texas have cars because you basically can't go anywhere without like driving 5 miles or something. You know, I can't even go to Chick-fil-A without driving like 5 or 7 miles. So I understand that's kind of like a more common thing, I think, in the southern states than up north, where people rely on public transportation and stuff, or in other countries. The other thing that I really suggest is taking a walk. I can't even describe to you guys the number of times that taking a walk has absolutely saved me from just totally freaking out and throwing up. And I know that's totally TMI, but I kind of just like, I get so anxious, my heart starts racing, and sometimes, like I said in my last video, it's almost like I get a numbness. I always say like a fizzy sensation. I get like a numbness in my fingers, and if it's really, really bad and I cannot calm myself down quick enough, I also get like a fizzy sensation in my head. I don't know if that means like I'm on the verge of passing out or not. Thankfully, I've never like fainted or passed out from an anxiety attack. I have probably come really close, because it's just like I'll start to even hyperventilate and I'll start to get this fizzy feeling, and it's just totally bizarre and not fun, obviously, at all to deal with. I cannot tell you guys the number of times that taking a walk has absolutely, I guess it's just maybe like releasing endorphins, or kind of like, you know, doing something with your body that keeps your body in motion so that all the adrenaline or whatever, you know, once again, not a doctor, so I don't really know what causes these sensations too much. Sometimes it seems that like physical movement of walking or whatever kind of counteracts it. Since I made my last vlog as well, I got an exercise bike in my house, and sometimes I do that if it's in the middle of the night and I don't really feel like it's too safe to be walking around outside by myself. That's one thing. I don't want to tell you guys to do anything that's harmful or hurtful, so just make sure to be mindful, obviously, of like where you live and what time it is and yada yada yada. So I guess I haven't said yet in this vlog, I was, you know, diagnosed with high anxiety disorder. I forget exactly what the acronym is, because once again, I don't really go to the doctor that much. He did want to prescribe me some medication. He actually did write me a prescription, and he said I could try it out or whatever. But one of the things, and I did say this in my last anxiety vlog as well, he said that it would make my brain feel strange. And my brain is already strange enough. Like I said before, you know, I like myself. I don't think that that's a bad thing to say. I don't think that that's too egotistical. I mean, I'm not like, ugh, like, you know, I think it's healthy to like oneself, you know, so I don't really have a major problem with myself other than dealing with these bouts of anxiety, these panic attacks that I do. So I would hate to lose a part of my personality or a part of myself or who I truly am. You know, I would hate to lose some of that just to kind of try and balance out something else. And, you know, once again, I'm not knocking anybody that is on a medication for anxiety or depression. It's a personal choice. You know, everything is a personal choice. There are some people that absolutely must be on medication to function, and there are some people that I think are kind of borderline, like me. It's like, you could take it and maybe be a little bit better off, or you could not take it and then try and deal with it in other ways. You know, so it all affects people differently, and everyone has their own, you know, capabilities, or, you know, what they can deal with or how they deal with it or whatever. So, you know, I'm not knocking anybody that did choose to go on that route. The other thing that really, really works for me, and I can probably do a whole nother video on this. I know this video is so long already and I'm sorry for that. But one thing that I want to say is it's kind of, and this is going to sound really disturbing, I think, but to create a ritual of something that works for you to help calm you down, whether it's going and taking a walk, going and taking a drive, you know, like it's kind of like to form a habit of something healthy that takes your mind away from the panic attack. Or it can even be something small. Like one of my secret weapons is the power of smell, aromatherapy. I put this bottle of Estee, which is my all-time favorite scent. I put this bottle in my car to take with me when I went out of town for South by Southwest, and I cannot even tell you guys the number of times that I probably looked like a complete nut, like walking around. Like I totally could be on My Strange Addiction. If any of you guys saw the episode with the girl who carries around the doll head and like smelled the doll head, that was basically me with this bottle of perfume. Like I was just carrying it around with me or keeping it in my car and like smelling this bottle of perfume. But I don't even care if it makes me look nuts, you know, and you shouldn't care either. If you can develop something that makes you feel better, do not care what it is. I cannot stress enough, you know, the important things in life. It's not really about being a beauty queen or having a lot of money or anything else. It's about like surviving and feeling good for yourself, feeling good in your own skin, and developing something that works for you. So walking around with a bottle of perfume and huffing on it like a crazy person is one of the things that works for me. So it's just kind of like, that's why I say build a ritual out of it, because it's almost like sometimes if I'm panicking, sometimes it works if I smell that smell, if I smell the smell of Estee, it kind of has an almost, it's like it's almost like Pavlov's dog, if y'all are familiar with that whole like branch of psychology. It's almost like an instinctual thing. Like sometimes I smell that perfume and I just can kind of feel myself kind of loosen up a little bit and be a little bit less tense, and it almost just kind of like relaxes me. And I guess it's because I've used it so many times to make myself feel better that now it's like my body kind of naturally starts to feel better when I smell that smell. So definitely I can do a whole nother video on that if you guys are interested. You know, I have a couple other little techniques or things that I do that may help you guys or help you come up with ideas yourself, brainstorm. I guess I should end here because this has just been so long. It's probably like 80 minutes of talking that I've done. Once again, overreaching theme is don't ever let anybody tell you that you don't have a problem, because they don't know what you're going through, so screw them. And also, screw anyone that tries to tell you that you can't do something because you have this or that or the other problem. Their opinions don't matter. Everything is just about how you feel about yourself. So once again, I cannot stress enough to you guys, do whatever the hell makes you happy. You know, a lot of you have been talking about wearing red lipstick or, you know, just a t-shirt, a dress. You know, dress in whatever style or fashion that you guys want. It doesn't matter if somebody makes fun of you for it. They're the jerk, not you. They're the ones with the problems, not you. I cannot stress the thanks enough to all you guys here who have formed a family. We are a family. Let's keep the family strong. Just everybody, we should all be here for each other. That's what it's all about. That's what the Swamp Family is all about. We all just need to be understanding of what everyone may be going through. You know, like I said, whether it's anxiety or depression or not, you know, it's important to just recognize that everybody, I forget who said this, but it's like everybody is on their own little private battle. Everyone is struggling with something. I don't care how well put together they look like on the outside, they have some problem. There's not anybody on earth, you know, celebrity or, you know, hobo under a bridge. There's not anyone on earth that doesn't have some problem, some internal struggle, something that they're going through. So it's really important to keep a safe haven, and don't even hate the people that hate you, you know, because they just haven't figured it out yet, or they just can't realize that, like, you know, they're reacting out of something that they're feeling. So it's just important to, you know, stay strong for yourself, and don't give in to anybody who's just being a jerk. It's just very important. Do whatever makes you feel happy, no matter how crazy it seems to everybody else. Just live life for yourself, because in the end, that's all that matters. You have yourself, and you should look out for yourself. Make yourself feel good. Not to say that you should, like, I don't know, just within reason. I love you guys. Take a minute to subscribe if you want. Like I said, please be on the lookout over the next couple weeks. I don't know if something crazy is going to happen on the swamp or not, but just if you would like to be here and you want to subscribe, I would love to have you here. There is always more room for more members in the Swamp Family, so I would love to have you stick around if you want to subscribe. Or if you're already subscribed, just make sure that you don't somehow get unsubscribed. And I love you guys. Stay strong. We're all in it together. I hope that doesn't sound too cheesy, but I totally mean it. If you want to, you can also connect with me on Facebook or Twitter. Facebook is www.facebook.com/graveyardgirl, and Twitter, Tumblr, and Instagram is graveyardgirl as well. And I love you guys. Have a good weekend. Bye.